My brother just bought his second property, Dad said. What's your excuse? We were at Sunday dinner and Nate was going on and on about his new luxury condo. Your brother owns 2 properties at 28, Dad said. You still rent that studio. Everyone was staring at me, waiting for my usual excuse. Actually, I said, checking my phone, I need to leave. Work emergency. Mom laughed. What work? You don't even have a real job. I stood up. The $45,000 kind. I walked out and left them sitting there with their mouths open. That work emergency was real. The developer who owned Nate's building had called during dinner, completely desperate. International buyers were arriving Monday, and 3 units weren't ready. If these buyers didn't bite, his whole project was going under. Whatever it costs, he'd begged. Triple rate for the rush. I calculated quickly. 45,000. He agreed without hesitating. The funny thing was, Nate had been looking at staged properties for weeks and couldn't shut up about them. He'd been taking pictures of my work, studying it, trying to copy the style in his own place. He had no clue he was obsessing over his lazy brother's designs. The developer had also mentioned the buyers specifically wanted whoever did that penthouse on 5th. That was me. That place went for $200,000 over asking because of my staging. I had to start immediately. My team would meet me there in the morning. Monday morning, I showed up at the building with my team. We unloaded $300,000 worth of furniture while the developer paced around nervously. These buyers controlled a $100 million investment fund. If one thing looked off, they'd walk. I started with the model units on the 4th floor. Around noon, I heard familiar voices in the hallway. Through the door, I saw Nate showing Dad around the building. The amenities here are incredible, he was saying. Let me show you the rooftop. They walked past without seeing me. I kept working. That evening, the developer called in a panic. The buyers had moved up their viewing. They were coming in 2 hours, not tomorrow. Can you finish the penthouse? He asked. They want to see everything today. I had my best guys handle the lower units while I raced upstairs. The penthouse had to be perfect. It would sell the entire building. I was placing the final piece when I heard the elevator. The developer walked in with the buyers. The staging team is just finishing, he said. Then I heard Nate's voice. We'll wait in the hallway. They were still here. Of course they were still here. I turned around slowly. The developer was leading a group into the penthouse. The buyer, 2 investors, and right behind them, Nate and Dad. They'd been touring with the developer all day. Nate's face went completely white when he saw me. The developer didn't pick up on the weird energy. He just introduced me as the owner of the staging company. Nobody said anything. Dad was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. Nate kept opening and closing his mouth like a fish. The buyer was walking around, checking out my work. He asked if I was the one who'd staged the mansion on 5th. I nodded. That was yours? Nate whispered. The developer started rattling off numbers to the buyer. 20% higher sale prices. Properties moving in 3 days instead of 3 months. A waiting list of clients begging for my services. The buyer asked how much this penthouse staging cost. 45,000 for the emergency turnaround, the developer said. Worth every penny. Dad made this weird choking sound. The buyer handed me his card and said he had properties in 5 cities and wanted me to do all of them. Nate finally managed to speak. You've been doing this the whole time? 2 years, I said. The developer's phone started ringing. More buyers had arrived downstairs. As everyone headed to the elevator, Nate grabbed my arm. Could you stage my unit? I looked at him for a long moment. I don't do family discounts. The elevator doors opened. Actually, I said, stepping inside, I don't think I have time for family at all. The doors closed on their shocked faces. The developer walked them out, gushing about how I'd saved his entire project. Your son's a genius, he told Dad. Every developer in the city wants him. Dad hadn't said a word. Nate kept looking back at the penthouse, finally understanding who'd been behind all those properties he'd admired. The buyer from earlier had already texted me about 5 more buildings. By that evening, all 3 units sold. Nate's property value? Up $200,000 because of my staging.